Dynasty Degens, welcome in. This is the Devy Degens. I'm SC Rebel. That is Tom Harvey. We're here to talk about some breakout stars today for you, and we are excited because it is the Big Ten. And as you know, I am one of the, Go Ducks here, Oregon Duck fans. We're excited about to talk about the Big Ten. But before we get into that, let's have a little intro with some good hype music for y'all.
Breaking down the hate, man, we call it like we see it. Finding all the gems while the rest just sleeping. Freshmen to the league, we ahead of the curve. Picking out the next star, put them on the reserve. From the big time schools to the deep cut finds. Gotta know who's next when it's draft day time. Stock rising, playmaking, watch them ball out. Devy Degens, yeah, no doubt. Yo, it's time to talk the future Devy style. Prospects rising, diamonds shining. Only the real ones grinding. Welcome to the Devy Degens, let's go. Let's go!
Prospects rising. Tommy, how you doing, my guy?
Oh, man, just sitting here watching the end of this Tennessee and Wake Forest baseball game.
How's that going for your Volunteers there?
Up 10-5 in the 8th inning.
Okay. So, I mean, never will say, it's done until it's done, right? But it seems like it's pretty good right now. So, hopefully they pan out for you and they win, As we're talking about, some players here today, we're going to Breakout. We're in our Breakout series. I know you had last week off. That was fantastic. You vacay for you?
Yeah, it was good, man. We went to Myrtle Beach. We kind of rotated between there and Destin and Panama City every year. So we went to Myrtle this year, and
nice.
Shout out to Eric Froton for stepping in my absence last week. The man, the myth, the legend, Eric Froton.
Yes, sir. No, it was a great episode. He actually graded a mock that we did. I actually, the guest I had, actually had to back out last minute, but I hope he came in the clutch. CFF Froton at X, go follow him. Great knowledge there. Really broke it down. It was a great conversation. But we're actually be talking about some of the players we were talking about in that draft with this Big Ten breakout scenario. So as last time, we're going to give you our top 3 per position, excluding the tight end and IDP. Yes, we're going to talk some IDP today. And then we're going to give you some breakout players as well. But before we get into that, as you know, we like to do a little this or that. So Tommy, what is first on this or that for us?
First up, we're going to go with a couple quarterbacks here. Dylan Raiola and Nico Iamaleava.
Oh, that's a nice one. So you said Nico, and I was like, wait, he's Tennessee. I forget he's at UCLA.
No, he's at UCLA now.
So it is Big Ten.
They did a little bit of a trade.
Yeah, that's man. If we're going for the season, I had to give it to Raiola. I'm not too familiar with all the players at UCLA to say, hey, he has time for a breakout. And I haven't seen enough from Nico to say he's a quarterback that can elevate his wide receivers enough, right? Because he's had some troubled wide receiver rooms at Tennessee as well. And it didn't look great. He's fantastic as is, but it's like you got to do a little bit more when those wide receivers aren't up to par or greatest at that level as well. So for this sense, I'm going to say Raiola. I think he has a little bit more upside. He had a lot of flaws last season. At the same time, I hope he learns from it. And really, we'll know within the first couple games, first maybe 4 weeks or so, if Raiola really learned or if he didn't learn from simple mistakes as well. So I'm going to say Raiola against Nico. That's a tough one because, if you would ask me this last year, I've been Nico all day. But I think I got to go Raiola here. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm probably going to lean Raiola here. Not just because I'm, a scorned UT fan, but just for the simple fact that Nico didn't really show a whole lot last year. Raiola looks like a legitimate, NFL quarterback.
Right.
Nico, it's like, is he more than a 7-on-7 guy? We don't know. I mean, he tends to stand in the pocket, kind of looking down receivers and doesn't really have a whole lot of pocket presence. So. Yeah. That kind of scares me, especially with him being, a little bit slight. I mean, he has put on a little bit of weight, but
right.
He's still really skinny back there.
Yeah. I wish I pulled up the receipts to have a graphic for y'all, but just to give a receipt, I'll tell you, this was like 2 years ago. We had a group chat going on with the other player. You went to a Tennessee game.
Mm-hmm.
After that game, you're like, I see enough. Nico, #1 QB.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not saying that as a bad take for you, because at that time, a lot of us did. But it's like that's how easy it is to change. Like,
well, and also
we have.
Once you start seeing more and more of a sample size of guys, it's like, well, this is who he is, right?
Yeah, sure. And we get hype about these big plays that we do. It's like, oh, but if you don't see that consistently, it's like, okay, that's not really what we're looking for there, right? So yeah, a lot of these are trades. Our next this or that, though, this one's an interesting one. I'm gonna let you lead this one off with Cardinal Tate or Nick Marsh. Who you got?
I put these two guys on here just because I think they have pretty similar body types. I think they're very similar style wide receivers. Honestly, I've seen more from Marsh than we've seen from Cardinal Tate, though. Now, whether that's because of, Tate is in that offense with he's in a loaded offense with a bunch of high caliber NFL talent,
right?
Or just that, maybe he's kind of being pushed aside a little. I don't know.
Right.
We saw last year he was the number 3 wide receiver. We're hoping he steps into that number 2 role this year behind Jeremiah Smith. But if Tate was at Michigan State, would he be the same type of player Nick Marsh is, or would he be better, or what? I mean, it's really difficult to kind of say. But honestly, we've seen more from Marsh, even though Cardinal Tate has the opportunity to be wide receiver 1 of this draft class.
Yeah. I actually love it. And in the Devy community, we say something, don't scout the helmet. But unfortunately, the masses look at the helmet. And that's because just the televised broadcast they can get. So you brought up the whole, would he be doing it at Michigan State? Question is, would people actually be talking more about Nick Marsh if he was at Ohio State?
That's
right.
True.
That's a big thing, too, because you said he hasn't really had the opportunity, too, as far as, he's been playing behind people. And Emeka Egbuka was there for, 3-4 years, and he was productive every season. So there's something you have to watch out for that. Now, obviously, he's not Jeremiah.
Egbuka had to sit behind, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So, I mean, I get it. Ohio State has that lineage where you're definitely always waiting behind somebody. I mean, just look at Brandon Enos. He was another borderline 5-star wide receiver that has barely gotten on the field yet. So we're looking for that uptick this year for him. Stepping into that kind of Emeka Egbuka type of role.
Right.
But again, would Nick Marsh have had to sit there and wait the way, obviously Jeremiah Smith didn't wait.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. barely waited.
Right.
So,
I'm glad you were saying. I thought you were going to take, but I think Nick Marsh too, man. I'm gonna hype him up until he tells me not to. But this guy is an absolute dog. I'm gonna have to get my guys Mike and Rich to shout him out on Dynasty Dogs because he's an absolutely dog, man. I absolutely love everything about his game. And to our point, if he was on Ohio State, if Nick Marsh was on Oregon, if he was on LSU, if he was even in Tennessee, for example, we'd hear more about him. Simple fact is that he's at Michigan State and it's not basketball. We're talking about Michigan State football, so that's a whole different. He's an absolutely baller. Aiden Childs is going to look great because Nick Marsh is on the field, so absolutely love it. Not to take away from Cardinal Tate, because I agree, he can be wide receiver 1 this year, but Nick Marsh, I think from the sample size we've seen, I'm more impressed with it being that, and I feel he could still be a dominant player even if he was wide receiver 2 or 4 on Ohio State as well. So we got one more. This was going into the running backs. Who are our running backs that we're talking about, this or that?
I'm going to shout out Amir here because he took this guy earlier in one of the Devy drafts that we had. It kind of made me a little upset because I was hoping he was going to fall to me. Jonah Coleman for Washington or Justice Haynes out of Michigan.
I just want to shout out Amir. This is the FFU Devy that we're in. Our guy Nordborg's in here too. Let me pull it up just to do a quote on what Tommy said here. I just want to quote it from here. Amir says Jonah Coleman, and not right there. And then Tommy says right after that, where is that here? Am I going crazy? I'm going crazy. Damn. With an exclamation point. It's the exact word.
Went all Ron Simmons there on him.
As soon as it happened, he said, damn. Jonah Coleman, Justin Haynes, I think we've seen more from Coleman. I think the upside is with Haynes. I think Coleman, might have a slighter Devy profile on him. Haynes, you're feeling you're taking a risk. We're taking on Haynes because he's at Michigan. We know it's going to be a run-heavy offense. We know they're probably going to use him as well. Guess what? They also bring on Bryce Underwood, who's a run-heavy or a quarterback that can't run. I want to say a run-heavy quarterback, a quarterback that can't run. Jonah Coleman.
Let's not forget Jordan Marshall also. Jordan
Marshall's still there.
He really stepped up big in that bowl game win against Alabama. So
yeah, so it's very hard to. I think Ashley Coleman slightly, especially we're talking about where we're at. This is an underrated guy at Washington that we're talking about, and I think he does have the moves to actually do it. I'm drawing a blank on the guy that came out a few years ago. That's why it probably scares me on Jonah Coleman. He came out with who was it for Washington? He came out with not Odunze, with McMillan and who was it?
You talk about Dylan Johnson?
Was it Dylan Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
Was 2 years ago or so. Washington's lead back. I'll have to go back and double check. But I do like Jonah Coleman. I want to see more from Haynes. I like his explosiveness, but we actually need to see that on there as well. Coleman might be the guy that's under the radar though.
Yeah, and the fact that Haynes couldn't really secure that job over Jam Miller down at Alabama kind of has me a little, kind of scares me off a little bit. But Jonah Coleman, I've been a big fan of his since he was at Arizona. Really good pass catcher out of the backfield. Got really good agility. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. I think he's going to end up being potentially a top five back in this class.
Yeah, that'll be good. The RB room in this class is very wide open. I know people have their favorites, but I don't think anyone's a lock, because I guarantee if you say Jeremiah Love's a lock, you could show them some good tape on Nick Singleton and they could be like, oh, wait, hold on. You can show them good tape on Darius Taylor, and they'd be like, "Oh, wait, hold on." You can show them Mekhi Hughes. Oh, wait, so it's not very a lock as much as people want to think on.
I've got Jonah Coleman right up there with Singleton, so I don't think there's much separation there in between the two of them.
That's spicy. I love it. Philip joining in here has a question: Superflex tight end premium start 10, Tua and a 2026 second or JSN.
Superflex tight end premium start 10. I'm probably going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba. Okay. Because you really don't know how much Tua's got left there. One more shot to the head, he could be completely done. And just the way he even some of these concussions he had, he's not even really taking shots to the head. He's just falling weird and he doesn't really control his head to the ground very well.
So on that though, 2026 second, it's a super flex. You're thinking, okay, maybe I could take a Sam Levitt or maybe a Carson Beck, maybe Drew Aller in the second, possibly.
Well, would you rather have Jackson Smith and Jigba or a fairly unproven quarterback there in the second round with Levitt or
this is a follow
Carson Beck or whatever?
So I'm traded to this was gonna be a question I asked after we had some discussion, but I got Kyler May and Geno as well. So yeah, get rid of Tua.
Yeah.
I mean, JSN's good. It's tough playing that 2026 second as well, especially in Superflex. Like I feel quarterbacks are already very valued in there. So given that 2026 second, I would see if you could do a third, maybe just good to quarterback, and hopefully the team needs a quarterback. So they're like, okay, Tua's here. Because when Tua's on the field, he is good. It's just he hasn't been able to stay on the field, right? So yeah, I think we both say JSN here at this point, though, with that quarterback room there. Now, that was our this or that. We're actually going to our breakout candidates now for the Big Ten, starting with our quarterbacks. Now, right now, before we get into our breakouts, let's say our top three here. My three are Oregon's quarterback, Dante Moore, Ohio State's quarterback, Julian Sayin, and then Michigan's quarterback, Bryce Underwood. Who do you got as your top three?
Yeah, I've got Bryce Underwood number one. I've seen plenty of high school tape on him. He looks like Vince Young to me. If you're telling me you're able to have Vince Young there, he's QB1 right there. But then I got Dante Moore and I got Drew Aller as my number three quarterback.
Man, you have Drew Aller. Tell me why I'm sleeping on him.
Well, I mean, he's got a big arm. He's mobile. He's able to.
Philip, we appreciate you, man.
He plays in a very run heavy offense. So, I mean, basically, you're looking at what people said about J.J. McCarthy a couple years ago. J.J. McCarthy played in a very run-heavy offense, didn't really showcase what he was able to do with the arm. But I think Drew Aller has better arm talent. He's a bigger guy.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying he's built like Josh Allen, but I mean, he does kind of take on that kind of Josh Allen role with running the ball a little bit for Penn State.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of downside with Aller. You're going to have to, I mean, you're obviously going to have to see what he does see what he does in the big moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he did just go to the, college football playoff, as a very highly ranked team.
Yeah.
So it's not like he barely snuck into the playoffs there. But he has a good arm. He can read the field. And he's proven he's getting better at it too. If you look at him last year compared to 2 years ago, whenever he would come on the field, he looked completely lost a couple years ago. Yeah. Last year he looked pretty good. Yeah, he does some questionable things, but most quarterbacks do.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I haven't seen what I want to see from him, regardless of if it's run heavy or defense holding him down. I haven't seen those big moments or him shining those big moments there as well, which makes it a little bit harder for me to, I guess, find that appreciation on it to say, okay, Aller is the guy there now, or the next guy. I guess I could say, like, I mean, if he's there in late second, I may take the shot on him, but I don't feel I'm really going to invest heavily on him, even if the capital is there. I just, to me, I don't think it's going to be the right fit for my teams, if you will. The breakouts, though, when we're speaking about breakouts, Ken Tyson from ASU declared this year. Yes, he is able to declare. He is eligible. Now, speaking of breakouts, though, top 10. My number 2 quarterback is Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin. That is my breakout candidate for the Big 10 quarterbacks right now. Now, when I'm doing drafts, I can see Underwood going above Sayin. I can see Aller going above Sayin. Know your leagues, know your consensus value, know those values. Sayin, I think, has the potential to break out. I think Sayin can be a quarterback than what we saw Will Howard was, and Will Howard just won a national championship. The weapons are there at Ohio State. Now, you put Dylan Raiola at Ohio State, I may be saying him, but because he's at Ohio State, I think he is going to be able to showcase his skills, showcase his arm talent. He doesn't have the best deep ball. He can throw it. He doesn't have the best touch, if you will, when it comes to it. What he does have is mobility to escape in the backfield, fluidity to extend the plays, and also a nice short to intermediate passing zone to get the guys up front. Now, Jeremiah Smith, he made his game last year going deep. Sayin will be able to hit him. I'm not saying he doesn't have that arm strength to not hit him. He will be able to hit him. He's just going to shine in those short area throws. So this may be a Carlo Tate, maybe a Brandon Ennis type of year for him because he's going to be able to shine with that. Or we're going to see some duality threats for Julian Sayin as well to go out there and make some big plays as well. So I absolutely love Julian Sayin. I'm taking it where I can. Again, he's going Super Saiyan. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, that you want Julian Sayin, man. He's about to go Goku on everybody. So that's my breakout candidate. What are your thoughts on Julian Sayin?
I don't have a problem with you taking Julian Sayin as a breakout guy. I mean, he's playing with a loaded roster. So if he doesn't break out, then there could potentially be some questions, about his, potential future there. So saying he's going to break out, they better hope he does.
Yeah,
true. So to me, I don't want to see him take the rap like Kyle McCord did a couple years ago, and then leave and then blow up like Kyle McCord did.
Right.
I think a lot of that Kyle McCord stuff from a couple years ago was play calling. They didn't really play to his strengths.
Right.
McCord's yeah.
Yeah.
But with the way Sayin plays, he kind of fits that Ohio State quarterback mold of, being able to move around and, get the ball in the intermediate spaces. So I could see Sayin being a big time guy here.
Yeah, I think this is, and actually, like you said, there's competition behind him too. So he has to really show out and go out and say, "Hey, this is why I was a 5-star prospect. This is why you brought me in." Because if not, yeah, just like McCord, he could be on the chopping block and go. And you brought up the playing style and going to McCord. In a sense, I'm not saying it's to this war, but in a sense, it's irrelevant because the weapons are there. That there can't be excuses. Like it's not you're at a Michigan State where you may just have one guy. It's like no, the weapons are there. There is no excuse for you to not do good. So I think that breakout can happen. Now, before we get to yours, Amir, shout out our guy Amir. For what it's worth, the guy I originally was going to take was also someone you discussed, Morris. When he was gone, I went with Coleman. Great pick there. Wheels on the bus. Tyson is my sleeper of this year. I feel we see him shoot up boards. I haven't seen much in 2026 class about him. I'm also looking much into it. Wheels on the bus, man. I appreciate that that mentality for the sleeper. In the Devy community, for a lot of people, he is not a sleeper. In fact, for a lot of people, he is, in fact, the wide receiver one of the class. So we'll keep it secret for you in your leagues, so they don't know about Tyson. But we love for you to get them to join our show because we were talking heavily about Tyson as well because he has some talent.
Yeah, and I spoke about a league we're in with Amir earlier, and I actually took we had our supplemental draft that we've just started, and I took Jordan Tyson 1-1 overall. So
yeah, that's a bad pick. He should have gone 3 overall. That was my pick, by the way. But go ahead and tell us your breakout. Hey, and Will's I'm not saying, man, though I appreciate your talk. I'm just saying he is looking good, man. If he's healthy, he's a star wide receiver. So we'll keep him hustles, keep him a sleeper for you. But hopefully you're able to get him. He was a dog on CLP Dynasty. Go watch some more, man. Love it. Watch the film. Who's your breakout quarterback though? Here, Tommy.
My breakout QB is Dylan Raiola. I think with Dane Key coming in, he's poised to have a big year.
Yes, sir.
He's got a legitimate number 1 receiver there now. Raiola's going to do some special things, I think.
Oh yeah, Raiola. That's what he was missing last year, really that deep threat. I think Dane Key is going to come in here. A lot of people slept on Dane Key and Marion Brown for that matter out at Kentucky. I was really hoping Brock Vandergraaf last year was going to do work for them. Did not pan out the way I wanted to. I've been on Dane Key since he's been a freshman, since he was a senior in high school. I looked at this tape in high school. I was like, this kid has it. See him in college. I'm like, this kid has it. He now has a quarterback, which what he has been missing. And this is an opportunity for that quarterback to find the connection and really use it. We saw a lot of flaws from Dylan Raiola last season, just a lot of freshman flaws, nothing big. It's like, okay, you can learn from it. I get it. You're a freshman. Now this is the season. Say, hey, you told Nebraska, I think it was it over – who did he commit to prior to, or who was it? Was it LSU? Georgia? It was probably Georgia, right? So he ended up going to Nebraska. And, hey, I love it. Whatever about Georgia. They've had their moments. I love it, man. Go to Nebraska, ball out. This is your opportunity to actually go in there and make some big things as well. Now, our next one we're going to go into is going to be our running backs here. This is going to be some fun discussion here because I actually like both our guys. Our top 3 in the Big Ten for the running backs is actually Oregon, Mekhi Hughes, Minnesota, Darius Taylor, and Michigan. I actually do have Justin Haynes here. Who are your top 3 when it comes to it? When it comes to the running backs there?
Yeah, my top 3. I've got Darius Taylor, Mekhi Hughes, and Nick Singleton there. But like I said earlier, I've got Jonah Coleman right up there with Singleton. So I could be persuaded to swap those 2 guys just depending on the week, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably with Singleton and Haynes too, and you could throw in Coleman, but Singleton was right there. This just, I think, just the wheels on him. It's gonna be like, okay, it might not be as much as what we want as far as the capital, with him being a little bit older now, staying the extra year. And again, it's been him or K-Tron the whole time. K-Tron could step up and be the guy. It could be Nick Singleton out at Penn State as well. So both of them have opportunity to actually do some great damage. I'm gonna let you start with the breakouts though. Who's your breakout right now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with James Peoples out of Ohio State. He was a really high 4-star running back coming in, and I think with Judkins and with Travion Henderson gone, I think he's probably going to be the lead back there. I know they brought in C.J. Donaldson. They also have a pretty heralded freshman coming in by the name of Bo Jackson. no kin to the other Bo Jackson, but I think Peoples is really going to break out in that offense. I think he has the skill set to do so.
Yeah, I think Peoples is the better back. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if they end up going a little bit more towards CJ Donaldson just to be that bruiser. We've seen that happen before, but Peoples will probably be the more explosive back for them, which is going to be exciting to watch there for him as well. Now, when it comes to mine, I actually have a guy that I think a lot of people are talking about him, CJ Campbell Jr. out at Rutgers now. He's a transfer student there. Reason why I say this is because Rutgers is a run-heavy team. And they lost Kyle. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. He actually went to the Bears.
Manungai.
There you go. Yeah. But he was a great runner there. And I think Donaldson Campbell is going to run exactly into that kind of situation for them as well. Last year, Campbell had 5.1 yards per carry, 144 yards. And I think this is going to be a nice team. Rutgers is always underrated, but I feel they always have a strong defensive front and a strong rushing offense as well. So I think Campbell's going to step right into it. He has some good size as well, 5'10", just over 200. So I think he's going to add a little bit more juice to what Kyle had with them last year, and he's actually going to do a little bit more work for them as well. So I'm excited to see what he can do. What are your thoughts on Campbell there?
Yeah, Campbell has to win that job first. It wouldn't surprise me at all if who's the guy that they got there? Antoine Raymond. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Antoine Raymond took that job to start the season
over Campbell.
Yeah, he's more of a bruiser. Campbell, more of a kind of a change of pace type of guy. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't surprise me if either one of those guys, kind of took the job back and forth from each other throughout the season.
Now, just when we're talking about these guys, if we're talking about Devy drafts, I'm definitely taking the bigger chance on James People. Campbell, for me, is more of a C2C asset. I think he'll just have that blow-up type of opportunity. Where as far as Devy, we'll rather see, So I just say Breakout as far he's got to have a great season and really show out, and it might raise his draft capital out there. But still, I think it's going to be better for your C2C than the actual Devy, unless you're in the deep ones. I have some supplemental drafts where CJ Campbell's available, and I have some where James People isn't. So I would definitely take Campbell in that situation. Just try to take it out there now too. Now with that, we actually have a special thing going on here, and let's go ahead and get it. So what we're doing now, as y'all saw, mock draft alert. Every episode moving forward, we're going to do a special mock draft. And it's really just going to be a quick first-round mock draft pertaining to the episode. So this week, as we're talking about the Big Ten, our guy Tom Harvey actually did a first-round Big Ten mock for y'all. So Tommy, let the people know who's in the mock here.
My 1-1 here is going to be, no shocker, Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, Ohio State.
If you're not taking Jeremiah Smith as the 1-1 in Devy, I don't care what you need, quarterback, running back. If you're not taking him, you are losing tremendous value. Sorry, I had to say that.
Right. My 1-2 is going to be Bryce Underwood, quarterback out of Michigan. Like I said, he's to me, he's the next coming of Vince Young, and with that type of talent, that to me, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a no-brainer, but it's pretty close to it.
Love it.
1-3, actually 1-3 and 1-4. We're going to go a couple running backs here. Darius Taylor out of Minnesota, Mekhi Hughes out of Oregon.
Love it.
And then 1-5, I'm going to go with another quarterback, Dante Moore.
Yes, sir.
I think Dante Moore has all the talent in the world. He was originally committed to Oregon, went to UCLA for a year, played okay as a freshman, and then transferred back to Oregon last year, understanding he was going to sit behind Dylan Gabriel. So I think he's just poised to kind of have that breakthrough season and potentially be a top 5, top 10 draft pick next year.
Danny has done phenomenal work with the quarterbacks, so love it.
Yep. 1-6, 1-7. A couple running backs here that I just talked about. I could go either way with them. Nick Singleton, Jonah Coleman. I think they both have big time NFL futures. And then 1-8, 1-9, kind of the wide receivers we talked about earlier. Carnell Tate, Nick Marsh. It really just depends on what your preference is. Do you want kind of lineage, or are you looking at, immediate production the way Nick Marsh had?
Right.
Tate has the lineage, Nick Marsh had the immediate production. So, just kind of it depends. I mean, you really got to study their film. You really got to study the nuances that they have, the way that they break in and out of routes. To me, they're very similar. So, I got them 1819. 110, 111. I got a couple more quarterbacks, Drew Alar and Julian Sayin. I think Alar, big body quarterback, has really good short yardage rushing potential. Good arm, seems to be beginning to read defenses a little bit better throughout his time there at Penn State. And Julian Sayin being in that loaded offense, he's just really set up for success there. And then 112, I'm going to go with Justin Haynes, running back out of Michigan. There's a couple other guys, we could have possibly thrown in there, but I feel really comfortable with that being the 12 there. You could also say somebody like, Evan Stewart. Got to see the production out of him though first. He hasn't really had all the production that we've wanted to see out of him. I think this is going to be the year. If it's not, then he's going to plummet. But so he's kind of on that, wait and see type of range right now. But he could easily elevate into that first round discussion.
Well, with some of these players you have here, Singleton, Coleman, Carnell Tate, Mars, even Alar Sayin. When it comes to that kind of play there, when you're doing these, for me, it's again, know the consensus value, know your league's value, because I would take Nick Mars over Carnell Tate. However, I understand people might be more in tune to Carnell Tate. So if I have an early second or something, I may take Carnell Tate and then come back and get Nick Mars because I know less people are actually talking about Mars. So that in that sense, I know I could get him later, so I can get the player that has that value at that time and then get the guy later as well. Like I said, Nick Mars is a great first round. I would do it. But in that sense where you have Carnell Tate over Nick Mars, I think that's brilliant because I think that's how the community is going to view it and how you used to look at it in the drafts too. When you have it, a lot of people say, hey, go get your guy in the first. I mean, don't overdraft your people as well, right? Don't get them on the higher capital when you could get them in the late second, third, possibly, because people aren't necessarily talking about them. Know what your league is, know what the consensus value is, and understand that concept and doing it as well. Because if you just go get your guy, you're losing on value. Now, your guy could blow up and have the best value, 100%. But you could possibly have two guys if you take the guy that has the value at the start of your draft and then go get your guy the later picks as well. So just be aware about that. But great mock draft there. That was our first of many, as I mentioned throughout the shows. Random times, we're just going to drop it in a mock draft alert and hit you with the quick first round mock over something, in comparison to what we're talking about for that show that week as well. So let's move forward, though, when we go into our wide receivers here. Tali, why don't you tell us who your top wide receivers are?
Jeremiah Smith, clear. Carnell Tate and Nick Marsh. Those are my top three in the Big Ten. Obviously, there's a couple others you could throw in there. You got Evan Stewart, DeCorin Moore, a couple others, Denzel Boston. There's a few others, but I think that those guys are going to be probably right outside of my top three. So my top three are Smith, Tate, and Marsh.
So I don't have Jeremiah Smith as my number one overall.
You're a liar.
No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Had to give people a little panic attack there. No, I'm just kidding. Jeremiah Smith is the one. Man, Carnell Tate, Nick Mars. I am the Nick Mars truthster. I don't feel I've heard other people talk about Nick Mars the same way I've been talking about Nick Mars. So I'm really like, man, okay. Do I do it? But I have to go by Oregon guys here. I think this is a breakout season for Evan Stewart. I know we've been waiting on it. I know it's been time and time again, but understand something. Lanning has his guys that he watches develop, and he says, hey, you're the next man up. Evan Stewart is the next man up. Now, right behind him, again, could put Nick Mars, could put Carnell Tate. I'm putting the guy that's going to take over once Evan Stewart's gone, and that's DeCorian Moore, the freshman wide receiver there. Now, I'm someone that believes DeCorian Moore won't see the field as much as we want him to see the field, but he is one of the best, twitchiest people in the freshman class right now. He moves with so much static, just so much electricity, where it's like, oh snap, did he just move or did I blink and I just missed the entire play? That's how quick he is. So for me, I had Jeremiah Smith, Evan Stewart, Decorian Moore, Cardinal Tate, Nick Morris right outside of that when it comes to the top three, though. Now, my breakout candidate, though, I'm actually going. We talked about him earlier. That's Dane out of Nebraska. I mean, I think this is a season where he actually goes out there and shines. Raising his draft stocks, potentially day 2 prospect, and he's just gonna look great for Dylan Raiola and make Dylan Raiola look like, all right, you're what people thought as far as Patrick Mahomes. I really believe that. I'm sticking with that. He's been one of my guys. Been riding with him, and I think he has the big playability, but also the ability to win small, just move the chains left and right and, move down the field for a team. But also, if you need that big explosive play, you can throw it to Dane Key because he can get down the field quickly. What are your thoughts? I'm
excited to see what Dane Key can do away from playing at Kentucky. Kentucky's known for having a really poor offense. So getting him away from that offense, I really want to see what Matt Rule can turn him into.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm stoked. I have so many shares of Denke, so I'm stoked. Who's your breakout wide receiver?
My breakout guy kind of broke out a little bit last year, but I'm really expecting a big year for him this year at Washington. Denzel Boston. He really snuck into my top 15 wide receivers last year. I'm kind of elevating him a little bit more this year. I think he's a guy who could potentially be a back end of the first round type of NFL draft wide receiver. He's got the size. He goes up really great with the 50-50 ball. Kind of that prototypical type of NFL wide receiver also. And I think Damon Williams is going to have a big year throwing to Denzel Boston.
Love it. Denzel Boston's very crisp in his routes. He's one of those smooth route runners that has nice, reliable hands and can really get into the open space. He sees the open area in the zone coverage, and he's just real quick, real 90-degree angle type of cuts when he does his route running and everything. So I really love what he can do. I do need to watch more on Denzel Boston. I do like him. I'm not as high on him as you are, but I do like his prospect ability. Like first round, hey, my guy Tommy says that I need to go pay more attention to him. So I love it. I think he can have some big things on it. And for Washington, we've seen Washington produce some wide receivers. And I mean, I know it's not DeBoer anymore, but still we've seen wide receivers come out of Washington. Denzel Washington could definitely be the next guy there for y'all as well. So I actually love it. So that was our, we said we did our top 3 for the quarterback, running back, and the wide receiver. Now we're going to actually get into our tight ends, though. We don't have a top 3 for here. When you're thinking about Devy tight ends, you're not really drafting them. It's not Brock Bowers. You're not going with this sensational prospect, anything like that. But we still want to talk about some breakout candidates. So when the drafts come, you don't necessarily take your shot into Devy drafts, but when your rookie drafts comes, you're aware about these guys. Tommy, who's your first tight end breakout?
My tight end breakout. I kind of steered away from a certain guy because I know you're going to take him. So I'm gonna go with Penn State tight end Luke Reynolds. Okay. We've kind of seen the way that Penn State likes to utilize their tight ends recently, with Pat Freiermuth and Mike Gesicki, and then, obviously Tyler Warren last year. I think Luke Reynolds is going to potentially have a massive year, really elevate his draft stock.
Yeah, that's very possible. That's the beauty about the tight ends, right? They just need that one season because it's very rare that we see a Brock Bowers who are just continuously leading the charge for their offense. So you really do need that tight end to have that one breakout season. Then all of a sudden, all eyes are on them. And coming from a guy or a team that just lost Tyler Warren, he's stepping into a golden opportunity to just be the guy and be one of their top threats for them on that offense as well. You talk about Drew Aller earlier. He needs a weapon. Luke Reynolds could go out there and catch those balls for him and become a threat for them as well and kind of ease the pressure off the running game. Now, my guy, it's funny because I did take him here. I did take the Oregon guy on the IDP, but I'm glad you took him. So we'll talk about him a little later. But the Oregon tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. This kid is an animal. This is a guy that's going to be a go-getter ball mentality. He's going to fantastic route running. He plays with aggression. He has fantastic hands. He has strength in his hands when he gets the catches and brings down the ball as well. He's going to be an all-around threat. Not to mention he is quick. Oregon likes to run the ball and have those explosive plays as well. So guess what? Kenyon Sadiq could be the one that gets down the field for them and makes some big plays for them as well. So I'm absolutely excited to see what he does. He looked great in the spring game. He looked great in his opportunities last year. This year it's his. Ferguson's gone. I'll just say for Alligator. That's my nickname for Terrence Ferguson. But Terrence Ferguson is gone. Now you have Kenyon Sadiq stepping in. This is going to be a big year. And honestly, I know I said Evan Stewart is the guy. It wouldn't surprise me if the receiver number 2 on the team is Kenyon Sadiq. I think that's a very big possibility for this season that the tight end is the second best receiver on the team this year.
Yeah, Sadiq's an athletic freak. I mean, he's got everything you want, just from a physical standpoint. Another name to really look out for is a guy transferring from Purdue to Ohio State, Max Clare. He was really Purdue's only weapon last year, and you throw him into that offense at Ohio State with all those other weapons. He could be sneaky good.
Now, with these tight ends, as we mentioned, it's a little bit hard taking them as far as Devy drafts. Who, Sadiq, Reynolds, and Claire, would Sadiq be the guy you would take a shot on, Devy?
Yeah. Sadiq's the guy. Again, I wasn't going to take him because I knew you were going to. And just kind of, and I wanted to kind of throw out Luke Reynolds as a guy to watch just because of that kind of Penn State tradition of tight ends recently.
Right.
So he's potentially a guy that needs to be looked at.
Now, with that though, so Sadiq, how early would you be taking him?
You generally don't really reach for tight ends unless they're like a Brock Bowers type of guy, or even Kyle Pitts went pretty high in Devy draft several years ago. So tight end, you're probably looking, if you have a 5-round draft, you're probably looking maybe to take him in the 5th round.
Okay.
Just because just because positions of need, they're running back, quarterback, wide receiver, you're always going to load up on those guys first, and then kind of take a dart throw late. That's kind of when you want to go with a tight end. It's unless they're a Brock Bowers. Obviously, Brock Bowers was going 1st round, but you don't have very many of those guys.
No, it's funny that you said that because I'm actually in a startup one now, and I'm like, I might take a shot on Sadiq, but it's hard, man, because what I just said, he could be the receiver too, but just tight ends, their capital is so odd that chances are, if you're in a Devy league and you do your rookie drafts, 1 round, 2 round rookie drafts, it's loaded with tight ends, and then you have your outlier players that just blew up and had good draft capital as well. But chances are it's loaded with tight ends. And Sadiq's probably going to be, in my opinion, he might be the 101 in your rookie drafts, Devy rookie drafts. I mean, don't get that twisted.
That's what Tyler Warren was. I mean, Tyler Warren wasn't really drafted in Devy. He ended up being the rookie 1-1. So
right. I love it. Now, next, we're going into our IDP here for him. Now, this is exciting. Now, for all the people that do watch us, we don't talk a lot about IDP, but when we give y'all the defensive breakouts and the players that we're actually watching. Tommy, as I said, I took Sadiq because I was going to say, I hope Tommy takes this guy on defense. And you actually did. Talk to us about Matayo here.
Matayo Uiagalelei, DJ's younger brother. Probably the type of position DJ should have played too, considering he can't play quarterback. But Matayo, really good pass rusher. Really, really good pass rusher, man. That guy coming off the edge is scary. He's going to be a big time NFL player coming off the edge. Can even drop back a little bit, playing coverage sometimes too. I mean, he's done that in the past. I think he had an interception or 2 last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's really good coming off that edge, man. Really, really good.
Oh yeah, no, Matayo, man, he was explosive, and with Jordan Burks for some time, Matayo, Uiagalelei, actually went out there and did phenomenal work. Came up, had some big plays, really showed an impact not only in his speed off the edge, but also his aggressiveness and getting behind the backfield and actually making those big plays as well. Absolutely love his game. This is going to be another step forward for him. Absolutely love his dad. Shout out Big Oos. He's always throwing some hype videos on X as well. But I'm absolutely ecstatic for Matayo. I'm glad he is with Oregon again. And, during the season, you hear me just going, Matayo, just screaming his name because he is a star, man. He's a star in the making.
Well, and honestly, I think DJ could have been a good tight end.
His brother, yeah.
He's athletic enough, big guy. I never thought he fit well as a quarterback.
Yeah.
I always thought he was kind of out of position there. But whenever you can sling it like that, they're going to put you there.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of always the position he played, even though he maybe should have been playing tight end.
Yeah, just a bigger edge kind of guy on the offensive side and just try to go get it. I think he should have stayed at Oregon State. I don't think he should have left there because he's just there. I get all the coach left and everything, but it's like, bro, you already have your roots planted there. Just stay there and finish it off because you look better than what you did instead of going back to the ACC and just not looking great at all. I mean, he went undrafted, if I'm not mistaken. Where Matayo, I think Matayo has opportunity to potentially be a first round. Dare I say that? But I think he does.
He's getting a lot of first round hype.
Yeah, and especially with Oregon, the way they're powering their defense. I mean, they're really focusing on that front seven because they know they're in Big Ten where it gets more physical there as well. Now, my guy is obviously also in the Big Ten, but he's actually got to follow the footsteps. You talk about lineage with like Ohio State and their wide receivers. Jaden Harrell out of Iowa, linebacker. Now, Jay Higgins, a guy that should have went. I do believe he went undrafted, not the seventh. But this guy was a tackle machine out of Iowa. He's in Baltimore now, which is absolutely crazy that they have Jaden Higgins, Roquan Smith, and then I'm trying to blank on the guy that they had last year as well, Simpson.
The guy from Clemson.
Yeah, so they're actually doing fantastic work with how they're drafting as well. But now you have Jaden Harrell stepping in to become the linebacker, the centerpiece for the defense. He's following the footsteps of Jay Higgins, of Jack Campbell, of Josie Jewell, a team that produces linebackers steadily, knows how to make them get in the right situations, knows how to teach them how to close up their gaps, knows how to get the guys that are pure pass rushers or just pure ball pursuers as well. That's what Jaden Harrell's going to do. I think he has a possibility of leading the Big Ten. To be honest, when it comes to tackles, that's just how great and how it's an impact I think that he'll step into by being the lead linebacker there for them as well.
Yeah, especially the way that Iowa plays defense. They're always going to swarm towards the ball. So he can rack up tons of tackles that way.
Yeah.
Even if they're just assisted tackles. So that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I'm absolutely stoked. I mean, when it comes to the Big Ten in general, I think the defense is underrated as a whole when it comes to them because I think there's a lot of studs in the Big Ten when it comes to defensive play. And then everyone talks about the SEC. SEC's fast. I think the Big Ten at certain times is a little bit more physical, especially you talk about that front seven.
I think the top of the Big Ten is slightly better than what the top of the SEC is. I think overall the SEC is a better conference. For sure. But I think the top, whenever you're talking about Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, I think they are possibly slightly better than when you're talking about Georgia, Alabama, Texas.
Especially in this era, I mean, times change.
Very comparable anyways. But as far as depth of the conference, I think the SEC is much deeper. Just because in the SEC, your worst team is Mississippi State. Mississippi State's still halfway.
I still have them upsetting some teams this year. So
Mississippi State in the Big Ten could potentially be a 5-7, 6-6 team, whereas Rutgers in the SEC or Minnesota, Purdue, Indiana most years, Northwestern, those teams just don't get it done.
It's more so. If we're talking Big Ten SEC, it doesn't surprise me when the Mississippi State team upsets LSU or Georgia. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It surprises me when Northwestern upsets Oregon. That jump is way different. The top is there's a break, a tier break as far as the top. Where the SEC, there's a tier break, but it's really not as big as you may think it is based on the record.
Well, just look at last year. Alabama lost 3 games. They were looking at potentially being a playoff team. They lost to 2 6-6 teams, Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
Yep.
So, I mean, nothing really shocks you in the SEC. There's big shockers in the Big Ten, though. So, I mean, that just kind of shows you the depth and parity of the conference.
Right. No, I think that's all around. We haven't talked about our SEC breakouts, so that is an episode forthcoming as well. That is all we have for y'all today as far as our breakouts. As we mentioned, moving forward, we're gonna have our mock draft alerts and give y'all a little quick sample taste of a mock draft pertaining to the episode we're talking about. Tommy, any last words you want to say for the Devy Degens here?
Devy Degens, man, just make sure you're going and checking out Fast Draft. Make sure you're going and checking out Player Profiler. all these things can get you really prepared for your upcoming drafts.
Yes, sir. But more importantly, we didn't do it this episode. I forgot about it, so I apologize. More importantly, though, with these Devy drafts, how can they find out some good value though too?
Yeah, go over to draft trade Dynasty trade calculator. I don't know what I was thinking. Dynasty trade calculator, and we actually have input their Devy values. So head on over to Dynasty trade calculator. Check those out. You can input Devy guys with mix them in with NFL guys and come up with different values there.
And I will say on that with the values, this is obviously during the seasons we're going to be more into it, not more into in the sense of we'll be updating based on how the season's going, right? If we're seeing some guys drop and they're just missing passes left and right, or fumbling, or they're just throwing interceptions, their value's going to drop. So stay tuned on that, because that's where it's really going to get spicy, especially in your Devy leagues, where it's like, hey, maybe Bryce Underwood is rising. He's looking like the next big guy. Maybe I'll try to go get Jaden Daniels for him because the guy's not going to be. I don't know. That's a crazy value. But just think of it like that, right? Where maybe you'll be able to do that. So keep it on the Dynasty Trade Calculator. That's what we're here for. For everyone on the Devy Degens, for everyone on Profiler Plus now, I'm SC. That is Tom Harvey. And then that's his dog. What's your dog's name?
Remy.
And that is Remy. Until next time, everybody, we will see y'all later. Peace.